I figured I would do another live stream for this week since I don't have an actual upload to put up yet because I haven't even started working on the video for the front lip that is currently on the front of the turbo truck or anything, and that's the only video I have currently stacked up. So figured I'd do another live stream real quick, see who all is up. It's late on a Monday night, so I don't know how many people we're gonna get, but I figured if anything, this is a video to put up to give you guys a little look into what I've been working on over the last week. And then hopefully by the end of this week I can have the video on the front lip on the turbo truck up and let you guys have that video as well. But first thing you'll notice, and I'll go ahead and switch the camera around if I can remember how to even do that. I don't remember how to do that already. There it is. Couldn't see it because of the refrigerator. There's no Grand Am sitting here, so the Grand Am is gone. We decided just to pull the plug on that car and get rid of it because the car was more trouble than it was worth. It was not only just an old beat up car, but it was also not very safe given it had no airbags and a big steel crash bar up front of it rather than, a proper, crash bar like a car is supposed to have on it. So that car is gone. We just scrapped it Saturday, I think. I was actually able to drive it. It barely made it, but I was able to drive it to the place that we scrapped the car at and get rid of it that way. So that car is gone. Yeah, we pretty much were just fed up with it after all the issues dealing with coolant leaks and stuff. So with that car gone, I can get the Saturn over here. You guys haven't seen it on the channel before. I posted one picture of it on my Instagram once, but I have parts on the way for that, and hopefully by the end of next weekend that car will be done. And then got another project that might be coming up soon. I don't know exactly when it's going to be happening, but I'll be bringing the Saturn here this weekend and getting that car knocked out. I will be making a video on that because I think that car is pretty cool. Bought it for $300, and the car, aside from needing timing chains, is in pretty much perfect shape. It just has a lot of miles on it. I'm really washed out right now. Let's see if we can turn around and fix it. Now it's dark. I don't know what to do here. But yeah, and I've got the turbo truck sitting in here where the Grand Am was sitting. And I really haven't done much with this. I've found out that I'm getting about 10 miles to the gallon out of this truck at the moment, which honestly isn't much worse than it's been doing in the past. But I think it's almost pretty much out of gas right now because it was leaning out when I would brake as I was getting into the house. So I'm probably going to have to put gas in it, fill up one of my cans over there, and put gas in it here before I go and put gas in it at the station because I don't think it'll actually make it by the time I've let it warm up and be happy. Which is not ideal. I could literally hear the return line trickling back into the tank like really loudly. It was so empty. I see we've got people coming in and out. I don't know if maybe if you are here, go ahead and leave a comment and I can get an idea of who is here because I don't think there's any other way for me to tell who all is on and who isn't. And if you are on here, go ahead and leave a like. So I haven't done anything with this since the last video. I can give you a little peek of the front lip, you guys, because it was real dark outside. Oh, Punish Speed Shop, I think you follow me on Instagram. How is it going, man? But there's the front lip. You guys can kind of see it pretty much every time I do a video where I've been trying to show you guys this. It's been real hard to really get a good shot of it. But that is the original front lip off of the black truck, actually. And it fit pretty well aside from a few small gaps, but from a couple foot distance you can't hardly tell. Looks good, works fine, and it's definitely better than the garden edging lip that was on it. I have my injectors for this. There's some Bosch 60 pounders that I think I paid just under $300 for some Bosch 60 pound 12-hole injectors for it. They're a little bit shorter than the factory injectors, so I have to actually extend the brackets on the fuel rails to make them fit, but I'll be putting those on really soon, and then the fuel system will be pretty well dialed in, and that's really the last thing this truck needs before it gets tuned. I just don't have the money for a tune at the moment, so I haven't gotten it done yet because I had to buy parts for a Saturn and I had to get different injectors, of course, because the eBay injectors just didn't work, and I've been working on a couple other random things. So I'll go ahead and show you guys the free engine I got. So basically the reason this engine was free was, for one, it's got blown head gaskets, but a friend of mine had it in his truck. He had a water pump go bad or something on it, and he blew the head gaskets because it overheated, and he said that if I helped him put the engine in his truck, I could have this one, and it's got some parts on it that I definitely need. So I'll go ahead and we'll walk around it, and I will show you guys what it has that I want and maybe talk about the plan for it. So first thing it has that I need is the intake manifold. I'm going to take this and port these openings out, the ports out for the throttle body so that it matches the V8 throttle body that is on that truck. And this intake manifold will be going on that. I might also put an aftermarket belly pan in it with a metal gasket and shorten the runners inside, because that's a little way to kind of move the power band up on these trucks, is to shorten the runners inside. But it's a lot of work, but it should probably be worth it, especially with the turbo setup. And then I want the passenger side exhaust manifold for the exhaust setup I want to run in the future on that truck. And then there really isn't much else other than just random extra parts I want to keep around off of it. There's like, the timing cover and stuff. I'll be keeping all of that. I don't really know how long I'm going to keep this engine around, but I will use it for mock-up when I'm making the new exhaust setup. What's up, Aaron? I see you are here. Nothing beats free. Yeah, it was definitely a good deal, because all those parts all together that I needed off of it were probably going to be around $100 from a junkyard for intake manifold and an exhaust manifold and some other random stuff. Oh, and the fuel rails. So I'm going to cut the brackets off of these fuel rails and cut the brackets that are on mine and use these to extend them down, because the injectors I bought, which are some Bosch 60 pounders, are 10 mils shorter, so I have to extend the brackets about 10 mils. I'll probably lengthen them like about 15 mils, and then I can use washers as spacers to kind of fine tune that way, because I'd rather it be a little bit too long and a little bit too short, because it's a lot easier to correct things if they're a little bit too long when it comes to the way that these fuel rails are set up. And then the rest of the engine, I don't know. I do have to keep it pretty much together for me to be able to use it as mock-up for the exhaust system to go on that truck, because then I'll be able to weld everything while it's on an engine stand. It'll be a lot easier. And then once that is done, we can probably tear it apart and see what kind of shape the rest of the engine is in. I don't really want to tear the whole thing apart, because then I'll end up losing parts and pieces of it. And since I'm pretty sure the bottom end of this engine is fine, it would be a good idea to keep a spare short block around, considering both of my trucks have the same engine in it. So if one of them spins a rod bearing or something, I have a short block that I can whip together and use in either one. And I'm assuming it's probably going to be that one that may end up needing it in the future, because that's the one that makes more power than it's probably supposed to. The Daily, I just finished putting new ball joints on it, and I'll show you guys the upper passenger ball joint. So those of you who follow my Instagram have seen this guy already. But this is the worst ball joint I have ever witnessed in person that has not completely had like a catastrophic failure. I mean, that's pretty catastrophic, but the thing didn't pop out. But I mean, if I really wanted to, I could probably go and rip this thing out. So that was on the passenger side upper ball joint on the black truck. So black truck currently has 4, like their Ultra Power or some real cheap brand. It's this brand here. They're like $5 a piece at Rock Auto, and I figured they're cheap, but they're better than obviously the wasted out ball joints that were currently on the truck. So went with some cheap stuff. We'll see if they hold up. One thing I liked about the Ultra Power ball joints, for being as cheap as they are, is they have grease certs. So ideally, I could go through and pump some fresh grease in them after they've kind of broken in for a week or two, and I'm really washed out again. I could pump some fresh grease through them, and maybe if there's like a little bit of casting material in them, because I know they're real cheap stuff, it would pump all that out, and then it'd have some good quality grease in it as well. And hopefully the things will last a few years, or I mean, I don't know how long I plan on keeping that truck, but as long as it lasts a year or two, so that I can kind of save money up to buy quality ball joints if I need to, that would be ideal. But I thought you'd find that interesting. I've never seen a ball joint that is that completely wasted. I keep missing the screen flip button. There we go. I've never seen a ball joint that bad before. So, and also I was excited when I bought these ball joints, because they look like they're supposed to be bolt on, but as it turns out, the factory ones are like riveted on with these giant riv bolt things. And it took about 3 hours to grind the heads off of them. As you can see there, I had to grind the heads off and hammer them out. The lower one was the worst one, because that one's like sandwiched into the control arm, and it took a good amount of time to get that one out. But yeah, that's an update on that truck. I also put new spark plugs in it, and the old spark plugs, which are probably sitting in the trash somewhere, had gapped themselves like 0.015 beyond the gap they're supposed to be out, just from burning out and being old. So they're supposed to be an 0.40 gap, and they were at like some of them were past 0.60, a couple of them were, but most of them were like 0.55, 0.60. So they're pretty worn. The truck definitely is running a little bit happier, and it's not faster, but it's a little bit torquier and a lot easier to cruise at decent speed in it now, because it used to be hard to even do 55 miles an hour in it if the wind was against me in it, and it's not nearly as difficult as it used to be. So that's nice. That truck, it feels like it has a wheel bearing that needs to be replaced now, and I don't know if because I was driving on the highway yesterday and I didn't notice it. So I don't know if when I took everything apart to do the ball joints, I made it upset, or if it's just been bad and I couldn't tell because of how bad the ball joints were. But it feels like the driver's side wheel bearing needs to be replaced. So I'll probably just replace both of them on the front, because it's like 25 bucks a piece for an entire front hub with a good bearing in it. So I can do that and just not have to worry about them for a while. And then tie rods need to be done. Basically all the suspension and all the running gear in the front of that truck is worn out, like really, really bad. Like it's all the OEM stuff still. That's how old the stuff is, and it has almost 200,000 miles on it. So that gives you a pretty good idea as to how worn out everything on it is. But overall, the truck's been doing pretty well. I still haven't had to spend a lot of money or time on it, and I can, it hasn't left me stranded anywhere. Knock on something, find something to knock on here. And I mean, the engine seems to be healthy. It still has a ton of exhaust leaks. Turns out it has 2 bolts broken off of the driver's side manifolds and 1 broken off the passenger side. So that's going to be an expensive repair when it comes to be done, because I can't pull those out myself. It's going to take somebody with a very quality welder to get that thing out of there, because the Harbor Freight Flux isn't going to be able to weld a nut to those to pull them. In fact, this one down here has a broken stud in it, if I remember, on the one of these it's too dark over here, but this bolt right here is completely missing because it snapped and popped out. And then it's usually the back ones that break, or I guess the back ones on the driver's side and the front ones on the passenger side, where the flange is real thick and it's actually studs instead of bolts. Those are the ones that like to snap. I don't know why. I think Chrysler just used really low grade bolts to hold these manifolds on. But yeah, that's the free engine. I don't really know what else to do with it beyond taking a couple parts off of it and using it for mock-up. I had the idea of doing like a semi-turbo build on it and beefing a sharp block up, but if the bottom end is fine, I don't really want to tamper with it, because it'll be a good backup just to have around and throw my heads off of whichever truck ends up needing it potentially on it and just use it. And it's got some other random components I might end up needing. There's a V8 throttle body right here, by the way. So tip for you guys, if you want to put a V8 throttle body on your V6, get the one that has this style linkage, because then you can use a bicycle cable end to run a V8 throttle body on your V6 stuff. So if you want to do that conversion and you're having a hard time finding the exact same linkage stuff, or you just want to be able to modify your cable and make it easier to adjust your cable, just get one of those and get a bicycle cable end and fit it on the end. I don't know about, cruise control stuff may not swap directly over, but I remember my 96 had a different style linkage, and I put this type on it, and the cruise control was still able to hook up to it, and the kickdown cable. So I think it's only the throttle cable itself that changes from year to year, but don't quote me on that. Maybe somebody else could let me in on that. But I'm looking around on it. I think if this belt tensioner is still good, I want to put that on the black truck, because the one on that one's pretty worn out. This water pump was the one that was, actually it doesn't have any wobble to it, but supposedly that was what went bad and caused this engine to not function anymore. There's really nothing else. There's a spare oil pan for me in case I end up needing it or want to redo the oiling setup. I got an extra pan to use. But yeah, that's Grand Am is completely gone, no longer here. I'm going to be bringing a Saturn here this weekend, like I mentioned before, and getting the timing chains done on that. That car is registered and ready to go too. So once I have all of the timing chain stuff done on that, I can just go ahead and let my brother have it, let him drive it, and that'll be a good first car for him. You guys are going to like it. It's not a real exciting car, but it is the XR, so it's got the dual overhead cam, variable valve timing, 3.6 liter that makes like 250 horsepower in it. So it's a pretty quick little car. I guess it's kind of a good sized car, to be honest. It's not super small like the whatever the Ion was, or whatever that real small Saturn was. The Aura is a lot bigger than that one. And then something that's going to come up soon, we've decided to put the 300 off a little bit, because the guy I got for this bumper from in New York has a subframe that is in much better shape than the ones on this one. So if I wait a month or two, I can go pick up that other subframe from him and use that on this car, and instead of having to attempt to repair this one and potentially damage it. That way at least I'll have a backup subframe for it. So we're going to be holding off on this for a little bit, and then my dad wants to daily drive an older car. Now that the Grand Am is gone, he wants to let my mom drive the Cavalier, and he wants to like daily drive an old beater basically, And a friend of mine, his dad has an 80, I think it's an 85 Monte Carlo that needs a motor, but was a running driving car prior to needing a motor. So I think we're going to be picking that up and putting a new motor in it. So that'll be like a little mini series real quick. Once the Saturn's done, I think we're going to go and pick that car up, bring it here. We're just going to throw a Craigslist motor in it for a couple $100. It's a stock 305 because that's what's in it right now. And we want to keep it simple, keep it stock, and not really modify anything on it. I just want to stick another 305 in it and turn the key, let him drive it, see what else the car needs, because the thing is like over 30 years old at this point, so it's going to need some random stuff. But the car looks like it has newer brakes, or it had before it was parked about 3 years ago, 3 years ago. It's got newer shocks and some other stuff. And overall, it's pretty clean. The only rust it has is the typical rocker panel rust on the body, and then the rear frame tail on the driver's side has a big old hole on the very bottom, way behind where the body mounts and stuff are. So it's not really a structural part, but it will need to be fixed at some point. But overall, for what they want for the car, it's definitely going to be a good car, just a daily drive for a while. And then if we have to, I mean, since it's body on frame, we could technically just go find another frame that's not rusty and swap the body onto that frame if we have to. But the car had good floors. There was a nice straight body. There wasn't any significant rust anywhere other than that one spot on the frame and the rocker panel on the driver's side. So all the only real rust it had was all on the driver's side, which is pretty typical also. But I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I think I'm going to end the stream here. This one was going to be pretty short, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on things since I don't have an upload yet, and it's been a little bit over a week now since the last stream I did, so I figured I'd do one real quick. I'm not going to be taking the truck out for a drive this time because I think it's almost out of gas, like I said earlier, so I don't really feel like getting stranded. That would be kind of interesting to have happen on a stream, but I really don't feel like dealing with that. So let's go around the garage, and I'll talk about some plans for this before we go. So I have 3 more. I think I've told you guys before, but I got 3 more of these lights that I'm going to put up. So I think I'm going to have this one sitting here still, move that one back, and then I'm going to have one on the far back against here, and I'm going to have one here. I'm going to take this one that's here and put it above the table over there, since that one's got the pull string on it. And then I'm going to put another one somewhere probably over here. I'm not really sure, since we don't really do anything but store cars on this side. There's no need to have a bunch of lights over here, but I think I'm going to put one of them here since I have 5 total, and then the one with the string on it that I can shut on and off manually if I want to. I just lagged really bad. And then the stove is going in very soon. I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but originally I thought I was going to have to cut a hole in the wall about here to put it in, and then I realized we have this old junk window that is poorly sealed and plants like crawling in it and stuff. So I'm going to just kick that window out, board it up, and use that to put the wall through the wall kit in for the stove. So I'll finally have the wood burner going. And then I'm going to get some Lexan or some plexiglass or something to cover up the other 2 windows back here, because they're all really badly sealed. I think I mentioned it before, but when it was snowing real bad a few weeks ago, the snow was literally pouring in the gaps around the windows because the wind was blowing hard enough. I need to get this shelf up somewhere too. I was thinking about putting one up here, or because that shelf right there, I don't think I've even shown this. There's some extra Grand Am gaskets up there. But I need to move this shelf here up a little bit, and then so that it lines up with that shelf there. And then we'll have a lot more room to put stuff on the second one that I have sitting here. And I want to move my rope lights, put one of them underneath this shelf so it kind of lights stuff up over here so it's not so dark. And we'll be pretty well set, at least until summer hits and I can start doing a little bit more work and not having to worry about keeping it warm in here, because I still want to cut out this table here and get rid of that shelf. But for the time being, I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm going to try to get things sealed up and get the lighting situation fixed first, and then we'll just kind of chip away at it as the year goes on. I do want to rewire a lot of the electrical stuff in it, because this thing still has a literal fuse box up there running everything, and I actually blew an entire circuit out of it trying to run a space heater on this outlet over here, because I originally had this outlet down here was running off its own circuit up there, and then that circuit totally blew when I tried to run a little tiny space heater on it. So I think that's where I'm going to end this stream. This is just going to be a real quick short update video for you guys, since like I said, I don't have a video prepared yet. So I'm going to let you guys go for now. Hopefully by the end of the week I have the video on the front lip on the turbo truck ready, And then if you're just jumping in now, this live stream should be up later. Let me know how the quality was in the comments later on, or you can do it right now also. The last stream was pretty good, so hopefully this one holds up and we don't lose chunks of it when it gets re-uploaded, so you guys can watch it and get a good update on stuff. But that's where I'm going to leave you guys for now. I got work tonight, so I got to take off. But thank you very much for watching.